South of Seneca Lake in western New York, you'll find the teams and drivers of the AT&T Champ Car World Series about to do battle once again. We're at Watkins Glen International, the home of American road racing. This track was built back in 1956 after almost a decade of races in the nearby village of Watkins Glen. And with age comes many memorable moments. Only a handful of previous winners at the track are racing today. Nicole Lechty's first and currently only win came in 2017. Additionally, Stephanie Porter-Kelly and Christina Espinoza are the only other drivers that have ever won at Watkins Glen, so a lot of fresh faces with opportunity today. As standard, Champ Car will be running on the full 3.4-mile road course, meaning 11 corners and the inner loop will be challenging the drivers 60 times today. Seven of those corners are to the right, 4 to the left. The track goes clockwise, so it's an interesting little challenge compared to other tracks which are anti-clockwise. You throw that with the air temperature is expected to reach about 90 degrees during the race, and the winds have been absolutely brutal. South to southeast winds ranging anywhere from 11 to 18 miles an hour, meaning the drivers will always have their hands full either going up the S's or coming out of the boot, which is turn 9. A lot to talk about as far as the grid. Qualifying yesterday saw Andrew Draco take only his 6th ever career pole position, his first of 2020. The World Championship leader is not alone. You see beside him the gray and black, that's his closest championship rival, Stephanie Porter-Kelly, starting alongside him. His teammate, David Wessel, starts in 4th on the outside of Kimitsu Kinoshita, starting in 3rd position. That's row 2. Row 3 is Christina Espinoza and Natalia Kurachenko, so 2 of the former winners here at Watkins Glen in the top 5. Tyler Parker is the best starting Alpine. He's starting out 8th on the outside of row 4. To his inside is Isabel Espinoza. Pocono's race winner, Sakura Ishibashi, starts 10th on the outside. She's starting alongside Cameron Jackson, who's qualified for the top 12 in the 3rd consecutive race. One of the best qualifying stints of his career so far. Additionally, you see the end of the top 12 is Nicole Lechty and Ray Taylor. They've started alongside each other or within 2 positions of each other 7 times this season. So Taylor and Lechty are almost conjoined at the hip. However, when it comes to the races, Lechty's normally fared a lot better. Looking outside of the top 12, some interesting notes include Siri Lindquist being the fastest Cherokee driver. She's starting 13th position. Future Swift Autosport teammates are in row 8. Kaylee Zappa and Brad Neri. You'll see Kaylee Zappa in the all-white GoPro car. Brad Neri in the red and the yellow, black and white. They'll be future teammates in 2021. That was announced by the team prior to the teams arriving in Watkins Glen. Bit of increased fortune for Eastern Atlantic Motorsports. Patrick Marcelli starting in 18th position. His best qualifying results since before Toronto. Esther Hofson still having terrible luck with qualifying. She is starting in 23rd position. BK Glover in his first road course race back, starting 24th. Mildred Moon starting not much better, starting 22nd on the grid. We're almost going to hear the command, the most famous words of motorsport. So, we're going to go silent and let them give us the command.
Drivers, start them engines!
And there's the command. The 26 drivers on the grid, but do battle for 60 laps. It's expected to be an hour and 40 minutes if everything goes the right way. Red Firestone tires means it's a softer compound. Means that it's a little bit quicker, but there is less durability. They will blister a lot quicker, expecting 3 to 4 pit stops today, depending on how the wind handles and depending on the track temperature. It's almost 125 degrees on the tarmac. How much the drivers fight through the heat and through the wind and through the dirty air is going to determine exactly how well these tires hold up. So it's a Honda on pole, Mercedes in second, and the best looking Alpine is sitting all the way back in 8th. And I see them coming up the S's. We talked about the corners. There's technically 15 corners, but the track itself doesn't count this inner loop here, this bus stop chicane that the drivers are about to go through now. These corners are not numbered, so turns 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 11 do not include this little complex here. Turn 5 should have been the entrance to that inner loop, but instead it is here. This is turn 5. It's called the outer loop, or the carousel, as some people will call it. They're going to go downhill, separate of how stock cars normally race, but they're going to go downhill and to the left for turn 6. You'll see drivers push themselves pretty wide, trying to get as much speed through that corner as they can. It's all downhill up until about midway through turn 7, which they're coming up on now. So the run you get going out of turn 5 all the way through turn 7 can make or break a lap. And then there's the back straightaway. Some iconic pictures have been taken of the back straightaway over the years. They involve Formula 1 when they raced at Watkins Glen all the way up until 1980. Obviously, sports cars, stock cars, and champ car racing have had their share through the almost 70 years of operation. I think it's 64 years. 64 years that this track's been operating. It's one of the oldest road course venues and long considered the home of American road racing. The first road race outside of World War II happened in 1948 here up in Watkins Glen. That legacy continues today as I come through turns 10. Pace car pull off going into turn 11. Full grandstands as everyone gets ready for the Zippo Grand Prix of Watkins Glen. Andrew Draco is on pole. Alongside him, Stephanie Porter-Kelly. It's on his mark, and he's going. We are green in Watkins Glen. Bit tedious going through turn 1. Everyone's cautious with the tires. You don't want the tires to catch you out. They aren't up to speed yet. Draco does clear Porter-Kelly. Behind them, it is Kenosha and David Wessel. Making sure everyone gets through in one piece. Kenosha goes really wide. Will lose time, but no harm, no foul. Everyone gets through the inner loop all right. So everyone gets through the most dangerous spot of the lap. And now it's a matter to see of how much Draco's going to set sail from Porter-Kelly. Phantom Motorsports has been on an absolute tear the last few weeks. Tyler Parker's up to 5th, started 8th, so both him and Kurachenko have gained several spots. David Wessel, we're assuming Wessel and Kenosha made contact in the inner loop because both of them lost ground. So it's going to be really interesting. You see Kenosha behind Siri Lundquist now. Isabel Espinosa also lost serious ground. Kenosha's down to 10th. Isabel Espinosa's down to 11th. Cameron Jackson also losing a little bit of ground. Started 9th, down to 12th. Having to defend from Lucian Lachapelle, who got his first podium 2 weeks ago in Pocono. Kelly Zappa, Brad Neri got through completely clean. And there's trouble. That is Marcelli and Jace Clark. No yellow because it's off track. They're keeping it clean. But Marcelli and Clark, again, bad luck for Marcelli. Marcelli used to be on Black Rose Racing. Jace Clark ended up replacing him. Both of them now with significant damage trying to limp it back to pit lane. The top 3 is Draco, Porter Kelly, and Christine Espinoza. Looking at Christine now. And Tyler Kurachenko sitting firmly in 4th. Then it's Tyler Parker with his best run in over a month, sitting in 5th. David Wessel 6th. Nicole Lechty, Sakura Ishibashi, and Siri Lundquist round out the top 9 with Kimitsu Kenosha holding 10th. Teammates here, Kelly Zappa battling with Cameron Jackson. We know Cameron Jackson's staying with Cat Devil Racing. We know Kelly Zappa's going to Swift Autosport. Both of their futures are confirmed. Jackson loses time. He's losing positions to Neri as well. And then there's Ray Taylor. So something is seriously off with Cameron Jackson's car. He's lost a position already. He's on the verge of losing another. You see Marcelli is in the pit lane now. Jace Clark's still rolling. 3.4 miles is the track length. So a wounded car is not going to do exactly what it did in Pocono. We're not going to see too much of the race being altered by lap traffic this race. Marcelli's back and rolling. Saw him rolling down the pit lane. But all eyes right now are on Andrew Draco. 1.92 is the gap. He has opened up a tremendous lead on Porter Kelly and Christina Espinoza. Andrew Draco was fastest in both Q1 and Q2. Fender Motorsports has been quickest just about all weekend long. Surprised to see David Wessel lose so much ground. He lost 3 spots initially, gained 1 of them back, so he's now sitting in 6th. But not a good look on that second lap incident with him and Kenosha. Former big-time rivals back in the mid-2000s, Porter Kelly and Christina Espinoza. I think it's pretty easy to see that Espinoza's the faster of the two. I think it seems like Porter Kelly's not quite with the balance of the car right now. So she is definitely holding up Espinoza and Kurachenko. Almost a full second. You can see she's kind of wheel hopping exiting turn 1. That is the heaviest braking zone on the track. And she's pushing it a lot wider than her rivals are. Yeah, the balance of that 84 car is not the way she wants it to be. She's running wider lines, she's pushing harder, she's running the corners deeper. It's not something you want to see, unless you're Andrew Draco. If you're Andrew Draco, you're loving this. He's already got almost a 3-second gap in 5 laps. Wessel taking the time to make advantage of it, trying to get past Tyler Parker. He won't make it happen this time. Further on back, you got LaChapelle getting past Kaylee Zappa. LaChapelle's on the move. Cameron Jackson's lost more spots. He's down behind Sherrard Perth and Keisha Fox. So something's criminally wrong with that 19 car. .5 is the gap now between first and second. They can almost put the rest of the field down under a blanket. This track is built up to a point to where on the parts that require a lot of grip and a downforce, if you don't have it, you're suffering, but there's enough high speed areas, especially the long straightaways between turns 4 and the inner loop, and then again after turn 7 and then the main straightaway. There's enough where you can kind of hold it. But when you think about Andrew Draco already being almost 4 seconds ahead, something is definitely not right on that 84 car. She ran really wide that time. Going through turn 8, now going through turn 9, she's going to hug the bottom. But she is having an absolute struggle. As I just mentioned, these straightaways give her enough time to where she can build a bit of a gap to defend herself. As much as she wants to chase down Draco, she doesn't want to lose second, because then obviously you're losing more points to the championship leader. Inversely, if you're Espinoza, if you know you can catch him, try to. See side by side through the S's, that is Ishibashi and Lecty. Dangerous game to play. Lecty tries to make it stick. They're still going to be side by side. Lecty's going to hold on to it, and Ishibashi's going to lose more positions because she hopped the curve. That was definitely not what she wanted to do. She tried to stick you out, and it didn't work. So Ishibashi's now outside the top 10. Tyler Parker trying to make a move again on Kurachenko. That is for 4th position. And now he's going to have to deal with the defense from David Wessel. Wessel's going to be on the inside through turn 10. Tyler Parker had the run, so he keeps 5th place at bay. Almost 5 seconds flat at the end of lap 7. One would have to question exactly how much it's going to take for Espinoza to get past Porticelli. There is a bit of a gap between Wessel and Lecty. A little over a second. Because obviously Porticelli's not the slowest in the world if there's still a gap. But right now she does not have a top 5 car. Let's see, Lundqvist has moved up to 8th because of Ishibashi's mistake. And that puts Isabel Espinosa back in the top 10 as well. See if we can go on board for a lap around Watkins Glen on board of the 48 of Christina Espinosa. One thing you have to notice is Espinosa's closing in so much on Porticelli in these corners. She's having to check up to avoid running into her. She's catching her all the wrong times. It's making things a lot difficult. Running over the curbs there in turn 8. It seems like under braking and in the corners, it seems like it's all grip. It's all mechanical. You'd have to wonder exactly what Porticelli's got going on. She's pulled a little bit of gap that time. But the medium to really high speed areas, Porticelli just has nothing. Now it's spread out a little bit. Porticelli's got a little bit of room to breathe. That is Ray Taylor, he's a lap down now. The first car 1 lap down is surprisingly not Petro Marcelli, but Ray Taylor. Not sure why Ray Taylor came in. So that trend of Nicole Lechty being better than Ray Taylor on race day right now is holding true. Lechty sitting up at 7th. Ray Taylor is now sitting down in 25th. We talked about how Andrew Draco had 6 pole positions in his career. His first pole position came in 2015 for the Indianapolis 500 that year. There is someone that was smoking in the back. Not sure who it was. That is Keisha Fox. Keisha Fox with another engine going away for Alpine. That is a bad look. Keisha Fox going to try to make it back to pit lane. See the rest of the top 6 get by Ray Taylor without any problems, except for David Wessel. Simply because of how that interloop timing went. Ray Taylor doesn't seem extremely slow, so it might help David Wessel stay with this group here. Keisha Fox still trying to make it back to pit lane. It looks like she will do so safely. one would have to wonder if it doesn't seem like it's an engine issue. It could easily be a gearbox. We are not sure. We won't know until she comes in. But she did start at the back of the grid, so she does have one of the first pit boxes. There's Andrew Draco, running the line that she ran going down that last corner. It is an engine camshaft failure. Have to be curious to see if there's any oil down on the track right now, because she went over half the lap. Granted, she stayed off the racing line for most of it, but especially that last corner. 7.5 is the gap between Porter-Kelly and Draco. Draco has a tremendous lead. We're a sixth of the way through the race. Again, expecting about 3 pit stops to go on during this race. See Marcelli limping around. Jace Clark is still limping around as well. Cody Blackman's the last of the OK cars still running. He's one of the cars that are not damaged. Then you have Mildred Moon, Ronald Walker, BK Glover, who's made up positions through all the melee. Cameron Jackson, one of the biggest losers this race. And then, well, since we've said that about Cameron Jackson. Yeah, Simona LaRoe, Esther Hobson, Sherrard Perth. You have Brad Neri. Brad Neri sitting in 14th position, so he's gained 2 spots. See, as well as Spinoza, not in the best of shape right now, stuck behind Ray Taylor, trying to get by. Seems like Espinoza has a bit more downforce. It's hurting her in the straightaways because she's not able to use those straights to get past. She will do so going through the S's, though. That is as close as you'd like to get with a lap car. That is for sure. But she's lost a lot of time. She's lost the draft. She's lost Kaylee Zappa's slipstream. So that puts her firmly in 13th for the time being until the pit stops happen. This is a battle for 10th. It is LaChapelle in 10th, Lundqvist 11th, Zappa 12th. You see Ishibashi, you got Kenosha, who's climbing her way back forward. She's now up to 8th. She's behind Nicole Leckie, who we talked about. Her only champ car win so far was Watkins Glen back in 2017. Some fond memories for Nicole Leckie here. Tyler Parker's finally lost 5th place to David Wessel. But right now, everyone's still stuck behind Porter-Kelly. "10 seconds almost." It's 9.5 between Porter-Kelly and Andrew Draco. Seems like it's about 9/10 a lap that Draco's opening on Porter-Kelly and the rest of the field. That's about how Draco's got 6 poles in his career. He's only won from pole once back in 2017. Right now, he's looking really good to make that 2. I think it's pretty easy to see. There they are, pit lane, here they come. And that was almost universal. No one in the top 10 stayed out except for Brad Neri. That's not Brad Neri, that's Isabel Espinosa. Wrong yellow car. Ray Taylor's staying out, but he's a lap down, so it doesn't matter. Everyone else came in, almost in sync. So Isabel Espinosa playing a very interesting game. Nicole Lechty's come in early. So did Suri Lundquist, Brad Neri. Isabel stayed out. Lechty's going to gain positions on that pit stop. She leapfrogs Tyler Parker. There's Suri Lundquist. It looks like she's staying about on par. She's going to have to try to make a move around Marcelli at some point soon. She doesn't want to fall too far behind Zappa. So first round of pit stops complete. Brad Neri trying to give challenge to Gerard Perth. Canisters drop positions. Glover gained, it looks like, a couple more. So Isabel Espinosa comes in now. See if she gains any spots on that overcut. Interesting strategy from Espinosa. She does get a bonus point for leading a lap. Also stops the Grand Slam from happening. See where Espinosa comes out. She's going to come out in front of Ishibashi. So she may have gained something. Nicole Lechty's up to 5th. Nicole Lechty actually ended up being 4th after this. She did a fantastic job on that pit cycle, being the first to stop and taking advantage of those fresh tires. Nicole Lechty feels like she might be at home right now at Watkins Glen. A little bit of confidence. So there's Lechty sitting in 4th. And Tara Karchenko behind her in 5th. No one could get a jump start on Steffi Porter-Kelly, so Porter-Kelly's still leading that chain. And there is a battle going on. This is for 6th place. This is for 7th place, excuse me. 7th place between Isabel Espinosa, Sakura Ishibashi, David Wessel, Lucian Lachapelle, who sits in 10th, and Kaylee Zappa in 11th. Suri Lundquist sitting down in 12th. Looks like she has gained the pace to get back up to the top 10 battle. So Lundquist using a lot of resolve. And then Brad Neri sitting at 13th. Not something you write home about, but for Brad Neri, it's been a very crazy 4 races for him. Having something a little bit calm might help him learn a little bit. About to see Nicole Lechty get up to Christina Espinoza and Stephanie Porter-Kelly. We know that Lechty's not afraid to make chances happen. It's one of the advantages that some of the youth have in this field. They get to be a little bit braver. For those wondering at home, that first pit stop sequence happened 2 laps early. That means that drivers are handling very poorly with their tires. The tires are blistering, the tires are overheating, and they're wearing a lot quicker. 2 laps is a lot around here. So there may be some that take that 4th stop. It is down to 4, though, trying to battle for these podium spots. See if Porter-Kelly made any worthwhile adjustments as the run goes on. But she's definitely still slower than the 3 cars right behind her right now. Fastest lap, Christina Espinoza. Kind of as expected by less than a tenth, less than half a tenth. Kurachenko with an amazing lap as well to jump the 2nd fastest. That just happened. Only 3 drivers are within the 129s on race pace. Everyone else sitting with low 130s. The gap is growing at a smaller rate than what it was before that first round of pit stops, but it's still growing. Porter-Kelly is definitely not the fastest of this group. And Christina Espinoza is getting a little bit impatient. These two know each other really well. Christina Espinoza debuted the same year Porter-Kelly did, in 2002. Stephanie Porter-Kelly got her full season that year. Christina Espinoza started in 2 races. The 2002 Indianapolis 500 and the season finale in Fontana, and finished 2nd in both those races. And they've been dueling at it ever since. One of the longest running rivalries in Champ Car currently sits with those 2 drivers sitting 2nd and 3rd. If you think it's not personal, it absolutely is. If you're Nicole Lechty, who we're looking at right now in that orange and silver, you love it. You love to see it because that is opportunity at its finest. Opportunity at its finest to make something happen. The gap did shrink. It's down to 8.5. It was at 9.3. Seems like Nicole Lechty's kind of ignoring the pressure from Kurachenko right now. She's kind of sitting and doing her own thing. Definitely feel like Espinoza and especially Kurachenko could really make a run at Draco if they had the room to run. Lechty's no slouch either, so she'd probably give a little bit of a headache. But these 4 are almost nose to tail. For those wondering, Andy Draco is already coming towards turn 10. They're just not coming out of turn 9. If I were Draco, I'd just save tires. As it stands, a 4th stop is going to have to happen for a lot of these drivers. Taylor's in the pit lane. He is now off sequence, so he's going a lap down again. That gap opened up once more. It was 8.5. Now it's almost 9.5. Almost a full second that lap. Draco's not holding back. Espinosa trying to make a run happen coming out of the carousel of the outer loop. Just not close enough on the exit. Has to be frustrating as Espinosa is staring at the gearbox of that 84 car. A lot of a gap has opened up. That was an intense gap opening up out of turn 9. That was an interesting breakaway. 10.2 is the gap now. It's now a 10-second gap. Andrew Draco is running with it. Beginning with Belial. Some of the drivers we saw win earlier this season have come back to victory lane. Isabel Espinosa did Belial after winning Motegi. Ishibashi won Pocono after winning St. Pete. Draco was one of the later ones to win his first race. He won in Lausitz. But over a third of the way through the race, a second race win for the San Francisco native doesn't seem too out of the cards right now. Seems almost guaranteed. Espinosa looking at different lines, trying to figure out how she's going to get clean air through her wing to try to get close enough to make a pass happen. And Portichelli's giving her no room. Lecty's dropped back a little bit. Burner tires off, I think, a little too quickly, trying to make something happen. Over a second a lap difference. I don't care what you say. That car, this 13 car that you're seeing in the center of your screen, is absolutely on rails. You would have to find a lot to try to catch him up right now. We've had one incident, no yellows. Incident we had was with Patrick Marcelli and Case Clark. Both of them are still running. We have one car out, and that is Keisha Fox with a essentially powertrain failure. A camshaft is done. 23 cars still on the lead lap. Jace Clark, the last one. He is one of those that was damaged when him and Patrick Marcelli got together. But right now, Andrew Draco is a man on a mission. And he is powering through those corners. Second round of pit stops is supposed to be happening in the next lap or two, depending on people came in the pit. Lecty was one of the first ones to pit that first pit cycle. Is she going to try to hang it out a little bit longer? She pit on lap 13, which means that she should be pitting around lap 26. You see some of the texture on track, how some of the cracks are really playing havoc with these tires as well. The track was repaved a few years ago, but with the constant weather and the heat and the usage, this track is used 20 times a year. Whether it is for local events or for world-class events like Champ Car, it is used 20 times a year wide scale. In addition to any private days that this track hosts during their off time. So this track sees a lot more use than your typical tracks. It sees a lot more usage than ovals. It's one of the most popular destinations as far as racing is concerned in North America. The likes of Daytona, Indianapolis, Montreal are the only ones I can think of that would be able to consistently beat it. Keeping an eye on Nicole Lechty, seeing when she comes in. The battle for second is kind of broken away here. 12.5 on the dot was what it was last lap, that gap between Porter Kelly and Draco. Top 5 have all gotten past Patrick Marcelli. Top 5 look pretty comfy right now. After the top 5, though, starting with Tyler Parker, it gets a little bit tighter. 6 cars all in a blanket right now. Parker, Espinoza, Ishibashi, Wessel, LaChapelle, Zappa, and then you see Siri Lundquist has fallen off this main group here. And caught off by lap traffic when she first came out of pit lane. Then you have Gerard Perth, Brad Neri, Simona Leroux, Kinemitsu Kenosha, Ezra Hobson, who started 23rd, Cameron Jackson, who started in 9th position. Then you have Ron Walker, Cody Blackman, Mildred Moon, and BK Glover. Kurchenko's going to make a look. Not close enough to the inner loop. But Kurchenko knows she has to go. Pit stops are coming, and she knows that she has to know that Lechty's coming in. For Lechty, you've committed to being a lap down on your stop. Everyone else is staying out to 27 or 28. Lechty and Lundquist, 2 of the early stoppers. So was Lucien LaChapelle. Those are the 3 that were up near the front that pitted early. They were the first to blink, and it worked for Lechty. It worked phenomenally well for Lechty. Be interesting to see if she does that again. Who's going to blink if she does, knowing that she is able to contend for a podium spot. She's been on podium only once this year. She doesn't come in. She stays out. So she stays out an extra lap, trying to get herself on track here. Everyone's trying to navigate Marcelli from 6th on back. Super close between LaChapelle and Marcelli. Super close. And that cost David Wessel a lot of time. And they're still side by side. And Wessel's in the marbles. Had to let it go. No love from Marcelli, who's probably frustrated at this point. Has just thrown David Wessel out of the top 10 battle. Fantastic awareness by Wessel to not push the issue further and end up off the track completely. But Marcelli gave him no favors whatsoever. Is Lecter coming in this time? No, she stays out again. So Lecter's staying out. Lecter's stretching the tires. Jace Clark is out now. And Jace Clark's a damaged car, so even with fresh tires, Clark shouldn't be an issue. Lecter using the draft from her teammate to try to defend herself from Kurachenko. Worked pretty well going into the inner loop. Now she's just got to get around him. Or follow him. If Jace Clark is able to use his fresh tires to get closer to Porticelli. And that car doesn't look like it's in too bad shape. Lecter's going to try to move going into turn 8. Lecter's to the outside of turn 9. She's on the preferred line. She'll clear Clark. So good heads up running. She is coming in this time. She will be the first to blink. Lachapelle doesn't. Well, will Lundqvist. Lundqvist does. Any other takers on lap 29? No. Brad Neri pit early. Brad Neri pit early. Now he's running. So Brad Neri was the first one to blink, but he pit on his own. He's going to try to use the undercut, seeing how it worked for Lecter. Smart strategy play for Swift Autosport there. See us running through the field. There's Lecter. There's Lundqvist. Where did Porticelli go? She finally got past Porticelli, and she set sail. Didn't even notice that the pass had happened. But Cristina Espinosa is now on the hunt. Draco's in pit lane. Espinosa stays out. She's got clean air. What can she make of it? She's going to try to overcut this time. Try to get you a replay of that pass as it happened. We'll actually do it during this cycle here. When does it happen? So it happens at some point in the lap. Was it Jace? It wasn't Jace Clark. When does this pass happen? Oh, wow. It happens at the same time. We were focusing on Jace Clark and if he was going to impede. Porticelli just didn't turn in. And that is as clean as you like. But now she's back out. Now she's got room to run. She did not pit. Porticelli now has to defend from Lecter. So it's Porticelli, Lecter, and Kurachenko. Then Tyler Parker, Lucian Lachapelle, Kaylee Zappa's gained more spots. Brad Neri's used the undercut to make himself available in the top 10. Neri's on the back of Ishibashi. I have a feeling that Lecty's not going to wait quite as long as Espinoza did. Espinoza waited almost half the race to make it happen. Lecty's already on the gearbox of Porticali. That is a rough go of it. Lecty's getting really close, staying right on the gearbox. She's not going to send it this lap. Turn one's a place for most people to try to send it. Lecty thinks better of it, knowing that a podium is in play. Both of the Agia cars were still running. Both of them since came in. Two Alpines here. Ishibashi with a little bit of issues. She just got passed by Neri, and now Suri Lundqvist. So that puts Brad Neri and Suri Lundqvist on the cusp of the top 10. 10th is David Wessel. And you have Kelly Zappa, Lucian Lachapelle, Tyler Parker, Isabel Espinoza, as Isabel sitting in 5th position. A little bit of a battle here between two Honda cars. Cat Racing's Kaylee Zappa and Phantom Motors' Dave Wessel. It'll be interesting to see how this battle compares between Neri and Zappa. Zappa in what many would consider top-tier equipment with Cat Racing. Neri in almost the exact opposite of that. And Neri's making the underfunded team equipment work for Swift Autosport. Because he's sitting right on the cusp of the top 10, once again. That is a team punching above its weight. Team came in late. Obviously, with Indianapolis, they lost their main driver of Tim Courting. So they lost a chassis in the progress. They weren't expecting to run this full season. So they weren't up to date on all the specs and all the data they missed during the first half of the season. Kelly Zappa using her equipment to the best of her ability. She's trying to get past Lucian Lachapelle now. That is for 8th position. Isabel's dropped down to 7th. 6th is Tyler Parker. This is a battle for potential podium, knowing that there's at least one round of pit stops left. Seems like everyone's trying to make 3 stops work. They're going to need to make it to about lap 45. That is a tall ask. Draco has had his way almost the entire race today. Aside from the pit cycles, he's led every lap. Phenomenal work by that 13 team to just absolutely set sail. See Ray Taylor and Patrick Marcelli. Neither of them are on the lead lap. I think they're not even competing with each other. Mildred Moon's a lap down. Glover is on the lead lap. So are the 2 Apex cars sitting on their own island. Then there's Cameron Jackson, Esther Hofson. Both of them having abysmal races so far. Jackson started in the top 10. But he's had issues this race. He's trying to get around Hofson side by side going into the boot. And Jackson's going to make it happen, using his experience to make it work. Kenosha's not having a good race as well. She's sitting behind Simona Leroux. Gerard Perth, the best running of the Ellen competition cars. You have Sakura Ishibashi, Suri Lundqvist, Brad Neri sitting just outside the top 10. Neri 11th, Lundqvist 12th, Ishibashi 13th. This is the battle for the top 10. There's 5 cars in it. 6th through 10th, all in a blanket. Porticelli has pulled away a little bit from Lechty. Lechty's right now kind of looking at a podium, kind of just walking away at this current moment. This is the battle just outside of 10th. Neri started 16th, Lundqvist started 13th, Ishibashi started in 10th position. So both of them sitting about where they started, Neri with the biggest moves of the 3 of them. And you see how close Neri is to David Wessel. It's not a terribly long gap. Just a reminder that the race leader is 30 seconds ahead of this group right here. 30 seconds. That is a tremendous amount of time. That's just shy of a second a lap. Just shy. Of this group, Ishibashi is the fastest of the 3. She's at a 1:30.032. Both Neri and Lundqvist was at 1:30.2. But that was early on in the race. So Neri trying to hold his own. The tires are definitely beginning to go away. Another battle between Tyler Parker and Isabel Espinoza. And Tyler Parker's battles with the Espinoza family is pretty well documented. His first race win could have been Tyler Parker in his debut season. I had to wait until Dover 2018 to make it happen. And now he's after the battle with LaChapelle, Zappa, and Isabel Espinoza just to try to hold on to it. Very bold and brave of Tyler Parker, but he's not going to lose more positions. Holds on to 8th. But he will lose contact with LaChapelle for the time being. Side by side through the inner loop does not work. And Zappa's down to 10th, so now it's Neri and Zappa even closer. Talked about them becoming teammates in 2021. The head-to-head comparisons begin now. They started side by side in this race, 15th and 16th. Zappa, and again, AAA equipment with Cat Devil Racing. Most analysts will say that Smith Autosport's running with about C-grade equipment. The team did not have all the proper funding of a top-tier team. Not the experience. but they have hit the ground running. And there he finished 11th at Belle Isle. Pulled a top 10 finish at Pocono. And you see everyone trying to navigate with Ray Taylor being lapped again. See Gerard Perth creeping up on these three here. And again, this is just outside the top 10. Now, what we're looking at now is in the top 10. Tyler Parker in the blue and white Samsung car sitting in 8th position. LaChapelle in front of him. In 7th, Espinosa, excuse me, sitting in 6th position. Parker trying to make a look for it. That was a half-hearted look. He doesn't gain anything, but he also doesn't lose ground either. And Christina Espinosa has issues. Christina Espinosa has problems. She is dropped from 2nd. Trying to make it to pit lane. From 2nd place, she falls. But she's not alone. That is Nicole Lechty in the pit lane now. We're not sure why. We'll see if we can figure out. That is a crash. That is Simona LaRoe out. Simona LaRoe out of this race. That was a late standing caution. That is Ray Taylor involved as well, so it must have been Simona LaRoe trying to get past Ray Taylor. But that benefits Christina Espinosa and Nicole Lechty. They were in pit lane before the caution happened. So they will inherit the top 2 positions of this race as long as they navigate Simona LaRoe. The right rear of Ray Taylor's car is gone. And obviously Simona LaRoe trying to limp it around, knowing that car is done. She's missing her front tire and half of her wing. So we know her race is done. And that's coming into that's around the final corner. And there is more to it. That is Zappa off in the grass. That is 10th place, Kaylee Zappa on Ray Taylor. Turns Taylor. That's his teammate. It's Simona LaRoe. Kenosha went by that. Was she involved in it as well? No, Kenosha avoided it. But that is a heavy accident. Luckily, no one got into the fence. But that is a heavy, heavy accident. A heavy, heavy accident. Zappa came up on Ray Taylor and instead of lifting, just absolutely ran over the back of him. Obviously, Troy Perth and Ray Taylor will have to go to the infield care center to get checked out and released. Simona LaRoe driving around on her own power, excuse me. Driving around her own power, so she should be able to get back to pit lane. That car is done. It's a write-off. But we know that LaRoe's okay. But a nasty crash between Ray Taylor, who was being lapped, Gerard Perth, who was just an innocent bystander in the way, and Simona LaRoe, who had nowhere to go. For those just tuning in, we've got just over 1/3 of the race to go. Our first caution of the day on lap 39 of 60. most of the field will come in to pit, and that should theoretically give Christina Espinosa the race lead. Espinosa and Nicole Lecter were the two cars that pit. They pit early, and that ended up being that is possibly a race-winning call for either of those two, because Draco no longer has a gap. If he has a bad pit stop now, he could end up outside the top 5. That is as bad as you can think for someone who has led almost all of this race. Draco has got to make this pit stop count, and at times Phantom Motorsports has not been on the ball with pit stops. So the pits are going to be open this time. Did they not take it? Kurachenko does. Oh my. The strategy game's in play right now. That was the first call for lead lap cars, and Kurachenko was the first one to come in. That is not ideal in the slightest. They're going to try to make it a one more stop. They know that people that are pitting now have one more stop. They're trying to avoid that extra stop. That is crazy. Cody Blackman with an incredible stop. Gains a couple positions off of that. Oh my. The strategy game that is being played right now between the top 3. So, at the end of this lap, there's going to be 1/3 of this race left, 20 laps, and at least one pit stop in the mix. You see everyone going through the inner loop. Everyone calls it the bus stop, but the track itself calls it the inner loop. And you have the carousel here, which everyone calls the carousel, but the track refers to it as the outer loop. If you ever look at any maps of this track at all, you'll see people that call something completely different. The only thing that people do unanimously agree on is the boot. The track layout has changed several times throughout the years. For a long time, the boot wasn't used by anybody. But about the turn of the around the turn of the 2000s, they started really focusing on reusing the boot. Just about every series that comes to Watkins Glen now, except for stock cars, uses the boot when they race. Stock cars use the short course, which bypasses the boot completely. Sports cars, champ car, endurance racers all use the boot when they come to Watkins Glen. So, a lot of strategy being carried out right now. A lot of drivers came in knowing that they had one more stop. They knowing they have one more stop, but they're going to give themselves more grip. The race leaders have stayed out knowing that that one last stop is not going to change and are willing to gamble on that stop. And they're sticking to it. Nobody's rethinking this stop at all. Nobody's rethinking the strategy. This is going to be one of the most electric race finishes I think that we've seen as far as a strategy standpoint goes. Andrew Draco has the pace to absolutely run away with it. Does this strategy cost him? Knowing that his car is going to have one of the oldest tires on track at the moment, and knowing the likes of Christina Espinosa and Nicole Leckie have the ability to pick off traffic. This is super intriguing on a strategy perspective, seeing the field split the way it did. Only cars in the top two that didn't come in are the first two cars. Andrew Draco and Stefan Portichelli. Mildred Moon's in between the two of them. But Mildred Moon's a lap down. We should have about one more lap of caution after this. Obviously, with an accident about as nasty as that, we're going to make sure that all the carbon fiber is cleaned up and out of the way. Both Ray Taylor and Gerard Perth have been cleared from the infield medical center after their review. But those are two torn up race cars. So now, what is the strategy going to be? Is this strategy really going to be wait as long as you can? No one can make it 20 laps. We know that. Nobody can make it 20 laps at all. We'll do a rundown. Once we know we're going 1 to green, we'll do a rundown of the current race order. Because it is all jumbled up right now. But there's the man of the day so far, Andrew Draco. He's led all but 3 laps of this race. As you can see on the leaderboard on the top right of your screen, it's Andrew Draco, then it's Stefan Portichelli, then it's Isabel Espinosa. Those 3 are in the top 4. Mildred Moon in the second car in line, that red and white. 1 lap down because of pit stops. So she was caught off in a really bad position. So she's kind of hoping that the leaders pit before she does. Or that the leaders pit and a caution comes out and gives her a chance to get back with the rest of the field on the lead lap. But after Isabel Espinosa is Lucien Lachapelle, who had a podium at Pocono. Almost won Pocono. Tyler Parker sitting in 5th, looking for his best race finish, I believe, of the entire year so far. Kelly Zappa, after spinning out Ray Taylor and causing that caution, sitting in 6th. Siri Lundqvist in 7th. Sakura Shibashi 8th. Cameron Jackson 9th. BK Glover sitting in 10th. In his second race back after being injured in Indianapolis. So all 3 Samsung Racing Team Impulse cars, if things were to finish right now, all 3 are in the top 10. Esther Hofson sits 11th. Christina Espinosa, the first one on fresh tires, sits 12th. And they are going green this time. Nicole Leckie in 13th. Natalia Kurochenko sits behind Patrick Marcelli. But Kurochenko sits 14th. Cody Blackman up to 15th. David Wessel, one of the biggest losers, down in 16th. Brad Neri in 17th. Jamitsu Kenosha in 18th. Ronald Walker 19th. Jace Clark 20th. And then obviously you have Mildred Moon 1 lap down. Patrick Marcelli 2 laps down. And then Simona LaRoe, Gerard Perth, Ray Taylor, and Keisha Fox are the ones that are out of this race so far. The lights are still on the safety car, so they've gone to do another lap. That is an interesting scenario. They've gone another lap. They might be fixing some of the safer barrier in that last corner. For those that aren't super aware, the safer barrier, it's essentially a double-lined wall with styrofoam blocks in between. The first layer of the wall, which you can see through the inner loop, is a hollow steel. It's made to bend, it's made to absorb energy, and it's made to bounce back to its normal shape because of the use of the styrofoam blocks behind it. Well, if a styrofoam block is damaged, obviously it's not going to be able to absorb any more energy. It's already damaged, which can pose a hazard if another accident happens at that particular point. Now, some corners you can get away with it. Some corners, like the outside of the boot right here, they only use tires because it's not a normal wrecking point. Turn 11, the final lap of the track, the final corner of the track, is very often a crashing point. So they may have found that one of the blocks was damaged and they might have gone to replace it. And those blocks are not easy to remove. Those blocks are, one, they're about 4 foot tall. They're tall enough to where you can barely see an IndyCar roll bar over it. And they're not very light. So they have to go and manually go in and replace those blocks one by one if they feel that they're damaged. And Gerard Perth hit that wall with the strongest part of the car, the gearbox. That gearbox is made of some of the strongest materials because it has to hold up to a lot of pressure. Going through turn 10, we'll be wondering to see if this is going to be the last lap of caution. Keep an eye on the safety car to see if the lights go out this time. This makes life a lot harder for the race leader. The lights are out. We are going green at the end of this lap. This will make life super difficult. Because the leaders have to pit. We know that. With the extending of this caution to where there is 17 laps to go, Christina Espinoza, Nicole Lechty, Brad Neri, and everyone beyond 14th have the ability, if they play their cards right, they have the ability to make it to the end of the race. If you're Andrew Draco, you push like mad. Because you only have 3 laps before your tires give out. This is going to be a wild ride. For those that are just tuning in, you're turning in at just the right time. We're under caution. The final lap of caution, so we're going green this lap. The lights on the Chevrolet Camaro pace car are out. Andrew Draco leads, has led most of this race, but he will not be the race leader for a part of this race when he pits. This caution came during a pit cycle. And with the extension of the caution laps, because of the safety barrier damage, has put a very compromising position in front of the leaders. The leaders at this point now either pit when the pace car comes in, or they try pushing as far as they can and hope that the likes of Christina Espinosa and Nicole Leckie do not have the tire wear to make it. You have to pray at this point that something goes wrong for those sitting outside the top 10. 11 cars have not pit. 11 lead lap cars are all that stands between Christina Espinosa and another victory at Watkins Glen. Andrew Draco's never won here. Porter Kelly has won here before. Isabel Espinosa's a two-time race winner, but has never won here. Only three people in this race have won at Watkins Glen. Two of them have a chance to repeat, and those two are Espinosa and Leckie. Porter Kelly's in the same boat as Draco. What is the strategy for the leaders? We are about to find out. For Draco, this has to be the most excruciatingly long caution in history. For Christina Espinosa and Nicole Leckie and company, this has to be one of the most glorious times, knowing that the leaders are in such a compromising position. The pace car is going to come in, so the race restart will be on Draco's call down the front straightaway. Does he get a jump, or does he wait it out as long as he can? He's got a lap car between him and Porter Kelly, so he can kind of go whenever he wants to and know that he's got protection. But what next? Pace car is pulled in the pit lane. Draco's got to hold pace speed until he decides to go, which is now. So who blinks? Leckie gets a jump on Christina Espinosa. Can't make it stick because of Esther Hofson in the way. So she'll have to slot back in and defend from Natalia Kurachenko. That is midfield. Mildred Moon's hanging on. She's got fresher tires than the leaders. As we go through the race field, that's a battle for second between Isabel Espinosa and Stephanie Porter Kelly. And Isabel's going to get the jump. That is through turn 7. Going uphill. They're side by side coming out. Porter Kelly keeps the momentum. And now Isabel Espinosa is going to have to try to defend from LaChapelle. Draco running as wide as he can. No, he knows he's in trouble. And Draco comes in. He can't hold it. Porter Kelly blinks. Isabel stays out. And that is a yellow. Caution is out. That is in the pit lane. That's Glover, Hofson. That is in the pit lane. Here we go. We'll see what happens. We're afraid of that. And Glover was on the outside and he hits the pit wall. And that tags Kurachenko and ruins Hofson's race. So Hofson dives in. Look how sketchy that is. Because just in front of this Jackson and Ishibashi entered side by side. Obviously, with how wide Glover ran, he probably had marbles on his tires. But that was a very last-second decision, and as a result, the caution has come out. So here we are now, under caution for the second time. We'll try it again. What a go. So I processed that information. We're under caution. Looks like Isabel Espinosa is going to be forced to come in this time, so she's not going to hold the lead. It's going to be in Christina Espinosa's hands. And we saw Lecty. She got an incredible run on that last restart. Couldn't keep it, but she had an incredible run. Now that Esther Hobson's out of the way, what is Lecty going to do now? But I'm going to step away for just a second to get myself a drink, because it has been quite the interesting race. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. As you hear the pit stops happen, I came back just in time, didn't I? Draco's not as far back as I thought he was going to be. Lecty comes in the pit, so she's got reassurance. But what does the price of that pay? No, Lecty is not in this race at all anymore. Is she? There she is. She's right in front of Ron Walker. So this puts things in a very interesting scenario. So the top three, if everything stays as it is right now, could provisionally be Christina Espinosa, Cody Blackman, and Brad Neri. If anyone was going to call that before this race started, please hand over your magic ball. Or your crystal ball, or your time machine. Hand it over. So the question now is everyone good to the end? Theoretically, yes. Theoretically, this caution helps out Espinoza, Blackman, and Neri a ton. A lot of people came back in for additional stops. So this puts an interesting perspective on things. Porticelli stayed out. LaChapelle stayed out. Tyler Parker stayed out. And then you get to Andrew Draco, who pitted again. Then you have Siri Lundqvist, Natalia Kurachenko, Kaylee Zappa, Sakura Ishibashi, Cameron Jackson, David Wessel, Isabel Espinoza, and Jace Clark, who's not on form at all. I don't believe. Actually, no, Jace Clark is on the lead lap. Okay, never mind. But then you have Kenosha, you have Lecty. Lecty's the biggest loser out of all of this. Ronald Walker, and then you have Mojo Moon, who is on the lead lap. So she got her wish. The only car that's a lap down right now is Patrick Marcelli. And he is fourth in line here. He's in the black and white Bose car. That's Marcelli. And more people are coming in. Why? To everyone coming in this time, from the bottom of my heart, what in the world are you doing? Why would Porticelli come in giving up fourth position? They're taking tires. There is a tire stop here. And Porticelli just gave up time to Andrew Draco. Why? Why is that a thing? So if you're Christine Espinoza, this is the best thing you have ever heard in your life. If you're Brad Neri, if you're Cody Blackman, this is the best moment of your life. Cody Blackman has finished in the top 10 once. So that puts Kaylee Zappa fourth. Sakura Ishibashi's up to fifth. David Wessel somehow recovers for sixth. Then you have Isabel Espinoza. And beyond that, I have no clue where everyone's at. Brad Neri's third. Kaylee Zappa, Sakura Ishibashi, David Wessel, Isabel Espinoza, Jace Clark, who is wounded, sits top 10. Then it's Kimitsu Kenosha, who started third. Nicole Lecty, who I thought was going to be next to last on the leaderboard. Now she's mid-pack. Ronald Walker has a chance to finish higher than 15th. That's a miracle in itself. Mojo Moon, who was a lap down just 5 laps ago, now sits on the precipice of locking herself into a top 10. Andrew Draco just pit twice under the same caution. Porticelli just pit twice. Pit on the last caution and then under this caution as well. Not sure why. LaChapelle. Why? So, this has been a race. How do we sum this up? Oh, and by the way, we're not entirely certain if the leaders are actually able to make it to the end or not because we don't know how their tires are. We don't have the telemetry on that. It is 91 degrees right now. That's just the air temperature. The track temperature is 134. It is hotter now than what it was at the beginning of this race. Which means the tire blistering is going to be worse. The wind is causing issues. Only in a race as dynamic as this, Cody Blackman's in, Marcelli's in, so that puts Brad Neri in second. But Cody Blackman makes the right call here. He knows he can't make it. He knows the tires aren't well enough, so he comes in. We have one more lap of yellow. We have at least 2 more laps of yellow. This is hopefully the next to last lap. We're going to go green with about 10, 11 laps to go. If anyone called this, if anyone watching called this, if you had told me that 2 of the 3 spots on the podium would be in from row 8, because Kaylee Zapp is sitting 3rd. If you had told me any of that going into this race, I would have laughed in your face. And now here we are. Brad Neri's possibly looking at his first podium. Kaylee Zapp is looking for another podium this year. Christina Espinosa is looking for her second win this year after winning Texas. Sakura Shibashi's not out of it either. We don't know what her pace looks like. David Wessel's still in this. Isabel Espinosa. Ronald Walker's still in this. And Ronald Walker has not done anything this entire season. But this is a race that he can win. Anytime I go into a race week and thinking it won't be crazy, it finds a way to top itself in craziness. This is Champ Car Racing where the strategists, I think, do a coin flip. I think they do their coin flips to determine whether or not they come in on pit lane or not. It may be an every lap thing. Hey, with the amount of time it takes to do a lap, it's about 90 seconds to do a lap. That gives them perfect time to flip it multiple times, just to see if they have to or not. Feels like some of these drivers got their strategists out of bingo halls. There's no way someone pits twice under the same caution with less than 15 to go. There's no way. There's no way. But that's what multiple drivers just did. Can Christina Espinosa make it? Can Brad Neri make it? Can Kaylee Zappa make it? Sakura Shibashi, David Wessel, Isabel Espinosa, Jace Clark, Kinemisa Kenosha, Nicole Lecty. Nicole Lecty we know can. But I believe she came in. Again. Why? Why the stress? Lecty is in 9th, so that is mathematically correct. Lecty is in 9th. We know that everyone from 9th on back can make it now. It's everyone 8th on up we're not sure about. And we're going green with 11 laps to go. This is about to be a shootout because we've not seen Brad Neri in clean air. We've not seen Brad Neri in this position. We've seen Kaylee Zappa. Kaylee Zappa's a proven race winner. Christina Espinosa is one of the greatest Champ Car races of all time, and Espinosa comes in. Brad Neri is now leading the Grand Prix of Watkins Glen. Brad Neri. And the team that I literally just explained was in C-tier equipment, trying to build itself up after years of mismanagement. sits on the cusp of being able to win its first race in 3 years. The last time Swift Autosport won a race was 2017. Road America, Thomas Rogers. The same Thomas Rogers that in 2018 would win Watkins Glen. He's not in the field now. He's driving for Team Impulse. What a race. There's a wall in the village of Watkins Glen. Literally 10 minutes away, just at the southern tip of Seneca Lake. There's a wall for everyone that's ever won a premier race, whether it is the 6-hour race that sports cars run, whether it's a stock car race that's run every year, or a premier open wheel race. There is a wall where names are engraved. Brad Neri could very well put himself on that wall in Watkins Glen. The likes of Nicole Lechty, Gary Slater, won their first races at Watkins Glen. Can Brad Neri do the same? We're going to find out in 11 laps. His future teammate, Kaylee Zappa, not going to make it easy for him. She's still a Black Rose driver at the moment. But what a way to make it happen if it does. The lights on the Camaro are out. So it's Swift Autosport, Cat Dove Racing, and Samsung Racing Team Impulse, top 3. Phantom Motorsports, Escurie, Agia finish out the top 5. Then Black Rose Racing have both their cars in the top 10. Jace Clark and Nicole Lechty, 7th and 9th. Kimitsu Kenosha in 8th. Ronald Walker for Apex Racing Team sitting in 10th. It's Brad Neri in his 5th start in pursuit of his maiden win in Champ Car. On the heels of signing a contract extension with Swift Autosport, securing him with that team, his confidence has to be on another level. The pace car pulls in for what hopefully will be the final time. It's on his call. And we are racing once again in Watkins Glen. And he got a good jump on it too. 11 laps to go as they go through the S's. Sakura Shibashi sitting in 3rd, trying to make it a 2 in a row. Kelly Zappa's going to try to make a run for it. It had to give room. Brad Neri did not give an inch. Now he's got to defend from Sakura Shibashi. He's got to do this for 11 laps. He's on the oldest tires in the field. Sakura's going to get by him. He's got problems. Neri's got issues. Neri's got massive problems. He's got a flat tire. He's got to limp it back around. Neri's tire gave out on the exit, on the entry to the bus stop. Sakura Shibashi now inherits the lead. Had Kaylee Zappa just been a little bit patient, she'd be in the race lead. But now it's Sakura Ishibashi trying to win 2 in a row. And she has the room. Jace Clark sitting third. And there's Stephanie Bernichelli making a move on Andrew Draco. Her car is back in tip-top shape for some reason. She's feeling feisty because she's battling. Kurachenko's in. Cody Blackman's in. Neri not gonna make it. He's seriously messed up his car. Trying to limp home. So his car's come to a stop on the outside. He's trying to make it. He's gotta get off the track. That's on the that's on the exit of the bus stop. And now he's rolling in reverse. This is the battle for the lead. He's rolling out of the way. And just in time. Just in time to get out of the way for Ishibashi and David Wessel. This is the battle for the race lead. Jace Clarks have to hold off Kaylee Zappa, Nicole Leckie, Kinemisa Kinoshita, and Andrew Draco. This is a swing for the fences fight now. Brad Neri blows a tire. That strategy call ended up being the wrong one. And that's a strategy call. That is a pure strategy call. Multiple chances to come in. And it ended up not working. Brad Neri ended up not being able to salvage the tires. The tires were just too worn. I'm sure that the conversations in that car, that in-car conversation, was going to be interesting to hear about. Because that was a potential race win. And Jace Clark is just holding up the train. Kaylee Zappa sitting 4th. Nicole Leckie sitting 5th. The battles between Zappa and Leckie are quite legendary. Oftentimes it was Zappa getting the better of Leckie, but right now, anything's possible. Kenosha salvaging her race. After being shoved off track really early on by David Wessel, her race is being salvaged. Andrew Draco, who led most of this race, will not be leading at the end of it. It's all on Sakura Ishibashi and David Wessel. David Wessel's already finished on the podium once. He finished on podium in Belle Isle. He finished 2nd there. And David Wessel's proving himself to be one of the best rookies in the grid. Jace Clark gonna try. That is close racing if you like it. And it's gonna give Leckie 4th. Black Rose Racing sitting 3rd and 4th now. And Cat Devil Racing 5th and 6th. This is amazing battling. Phantom Motorsports, Cat Devil Racing, Black Rose Racing, all in line. Team battling at its finest. We are coming to 7 laps to go. Seven laps to go when we finish this lap. Sakura Ishibashi is trying her best to hold on. It's a very much a give and take gap at this point. How much can David Wessel take away? And you know that Ishibashi's pushing it. No one has won back-to-back races this year. Only 2 drivers have won more than one. Ishibashi's one of them. She could make that 3. This could easily become a career year from Ishibashi. Her first Champ Car race win came in 2018. That was the first year that Alpine entered Champ Car competition. That is close racing between David Wessel on the gearbox of Ishibashi. Coming out of the outer loop and down to the boot. That was right on the gearbox stuff for David Wessel. It's easy to see that David Wessel can handle dirty air just fine. Kelly Zappa's holding on to 5th. Jace Clark's holding on to 3rd for dear life. If anyone's going to take 3rd away from Clark, it's going to be Lecty. It's been a crazy race. They're hearing the rumors that Jace Clark's not staying with Black Rose Racing. Obviously, we know that Kelly Zappa's not staying with Cat Devil Racing. We know there's at least one open seat at Team Impulse next year. We know Hazel Lacasse is joining the team full time. That's the worst kept secret right now. So who fills that final seat for Team Impulse? Lecty takes 3rd away in the S's. That is how you make a move happen. That is your protection. And Andrew Draco's trying to make a move work. This didn't work for Zappa. It's not. Whoa! Draco goes off track. He's going to lose more spots. Evasive maneuver for Draco. Probably equally evasive for Kenoshita to keep a hold of 6th. And this is for podium. This is the battle for the lead. So they're still battling all over the track right now. Lecty did her job. She's now in podium. And Jace Clark just has to hold on to 4th. Five laps to go here in Watkins Glen. Ishibashi's having herself a career year. Won at St. Petersburg for the first time. She won her first 500-mile race at Pocono just 2 weeks ago. The hot streaks with Ishibashi, that much is certain. She has 5 laps to hold off David Wessel to claim her 3rd win of the season, her 4th of her Champ Car career. The team leader of Team Impulse. As far as the drivers are concerned, obviously Yatsumi Matsuo, the team principal, loving this. Absolutely loving this. Lecty starting to check out on Jace Clark. Jace Clark just holding up, trying to get as much as he can out of that car. Kelly Zappa trying really hard to get by. Clark does have assistance. He's got Lecty's draft. So that makes life a little easier for him. Obviously, thinking about Brad Neri, there he is. They managed to get him back and get him a tire on that car, but he's 2 laps down now, was leading the race. So that's gut-wrenching. Curb hopping for Ronald Walker. as he tries to defend off Isabel Espinosa. We are rapidly approaching 3 laps to go here in Watkins Glen. There's your race leader in the red, white, and blue car of Sakura Ishibashi. Team Impulse has won 3 races already this season. Hazel the Cast won at Toronto. As we talked about, Ishibashi won St. Pete and Pocono. Obviously, there's questions about Alpine's reliability, with obviously Keisha Fox having an early failure once again. Huge questions over the reliability of those engines. But they have the ability to up and go. This is an interesting battle for fourth. You see Jace Clark hoarding it off as much as he can, knowing that his team's biggest rivals are right behind him. Captain for Racing trying so hard. We're approaching 2 laps to go, and I don't think Kelly Zappin can close up that much of a gap in 2 laps. Not if she gets by. She's going to have to do some magical work. Jace Clark's doing the right thing. Jace Clark has surprising amounts of experience. He's won Brno. Obviously, his injury at Homestead took away valuable seat time. But he knows how to defend. Black Rose Racing does fantastic. Clark's and Draco's in. Draco has an issue. He cannot make it to the finish. So does Ishibashi and Wessel. This falls in Nicole Lecty's lap with 2 laps to go. Oh my! What are we witnessing? Nicole Lecty has only won 1 race in her Champ Car career, and it was here 3 years ago, 2017. Is she going to bring it home? She's got a little under 5 miles. Can she make it? She's got real estate behind her. If she holds on, what in the world? This race is not over. Can drivers make it on fuel? She's low rev, so she's definitely trying to make it work. Can she win her 2nd career race? She's gonna go for it. Zappa can't. Kenosha can. It's a run to the finish. White flag this time. What a race. Cameron Jackson can't make the finish. It's all eyes on Nicole Lecty. Does she stay or does she run out? Side by side is Isabel Espinosa and Kinuisa Kenosha. Kenosha wheel hops and defends. Kenosha lost 2 races due to teammate contact. Lost Belial due to Cameron Jackson, and lost Pocono due to Akira Sato. She's going to get back on the podium if she survives this lap. Nicole Lecty has not been in victory lane. Has not been top step of the podium. in 3 years. 2017, Watkins Glen. She's got 3 more corners. What a run. And what a race. Caution is out. That is Siri Lundqvist. That is a crash for Lundqvist on the final lap. The caution obviously doesn't matter. Race to the line. Nicole Leckie out of the final corner. 3 years in the making. Nicole Leckie wins at Watkins Glen once again. Kenosha second. Isabella Espinosa third. Fourth is Ronald Walker. Fifth, Lucian LaChapelle. Sixth, Mildred Moon. Seventh, Stephanie Porter Kelly. Eighth, Brad Neri. Brad Neri's not actually eighth. He's 2 laps down. Unfortunately, eighth actually goes to Tyler Parker. Ninth is Christina Espinoza. 10th is Sakura Ishibashi. 11th is David Wessel. 12th is Kaylee Zappa. 13th is Andrew Draco. Massive bad luck for Draco. 14th is Jace Clark. 15th, Natalia Kurachenko. 16th, Cameron Jackson. 17th, and last car in the lead lap, Cody Blackman. And Siri Lundqvist will not finish the race, but will finish ahead of Brad Neri and Patrick Marcelli to finish 18th. Brad Neri 19th, Patrick Marcelli 20th. And Leckie gets to bring home another Watkins Glen trophy. 6 cars failed to finish. Esther Hofson, BK Glover, Simona LaRoe, Gerard Perth, Ray Taylor, and Keisha Fox. All the drivers involved in accidents are okay. They were checked and released. Win number 2 for Nicole Leckie. This should jumble up the point standings quite a bit. Everyone in the championship hunt closed the gap to Andrew Draco. It was 35 points between Porter Kelly and Draco. This time, it's going to be less than 20 once again by the time we pack up to leave Watkins Glen. See some of the last cars getting to pit lane. What a race. What an absolute race. You see the rest of the final cars getting back to pit lane. But that has been it for Watkins Glen. And we're still trying to process everything that's happened. What a race. Nicole Leckie, once again on the top step of the podium. Alongside her will be Kinemitsu Kinoshita and Isabella Espinosa. You see drivers making it back to pit lane here. That's the safety car there, doing installation laps. Seems like we got one more car. That is Cody Blackman. But that'll do it for today's race. Congrats to Nicole Leckie on her second ever career win in Champ Car competition. Black Rose Racing back on top today. We hope you had fun. It was definitely quite the race here. Was definitely quite the race. "13 races out of the way, 7 to go. We keep asking ourselves, does it get crazier? And it always does. 2 weeks' time is Kentucky Speedway. It is the Quaker State 300 at Kentucky. Then it is short track racing at Iowa, the American Ethanol 250. Kentucky in 2 weeks' time, Iowa in 4 weeks' time. We hope you join us then, and we hope you enjoy the day. Wherever you are, wherever you're watching, we hope you take care, stay safe, and we'll see you at the next race. So long, everyone.